10 years ago, you can correct me, but programs started to be made available through advisors, and some of them online directly, that will tell you how to optimize, maximize, what's the timing, all of these things on Social Security. I probably subscribed to 4 of them over that time. Sure, you have looked at a couple. I think we both resolved to stay with the same one ultimately. Why? Because it's simple, does the job, and it, but the point being, all that report tells you is what you're going to get. It's all geared, optimizing it, in their words, is to how much can I get out of the system? What's the best way to get the most out of the system? Which, as you just said so eloquently, it's not the game.
No.
It should be, how are you going to achieve your purpose in life?
Correct.
And so, when you break it down, some of these illustrations will say that you'll get another $50,000 over. And a client says, well, gee, I want to get that 50 grand. You say, well, that's over 25 years.
Right.
Okay. We're talking $160 a month difference. Is that worth waiting?
So it's different for everyone. And what I always tell people when we're first analyzing Social Security, don't look at it as an income stream. What we want to do is convert it to an asset, right? And how do you do that? You say, okay, my life expectancy maybe based on my date of birth is 82. I always add normally about 3 years. So healthy male, when I meet him going into retirement, I run them at about 85 and run their wife normally at about 90 because, men die first because we want to, right? So with that being said, what we do is say, okay, if husband lived to 85, wife lived to 90, right? If I took it at 62 or whatever strategies, what's my high and my low? So our system, right? The analysis system that we use, right, says, okay, here's the highest mathematical combination over their lifetime if they lived to that, and here's the lowest. And then what that does, that highest, doesn't mean that's the strategy I need to do. But now we have something to aim for. That's the target. So what we want to do is customize a strategy to get us close to that number, but collect earlier on. That's the name of the game.
I agree.
And it's kind of eye-opening. Most people come in and they're like, oh, it's a couple hundred, or it's, no, I need to wait to 70 because, from 62 to 70, it's about a 75% higher payout, right? So that's what I need to do. Sometimes when we go through the analysis, they're like, oh my gosh, it's 30 grand over my lifetime? Like, is that 50 grand? And some people say, why would I wait? Then others are like, that's everything. I need to wait to do that because that's everything.
And in our firm, we refer to most things, we say you cannot make any financial decision in a fishbowl. Every financial decision should be part of an overall ecosystem, and everything is interconnected. So it's the planning impact of your Social Security on the rest of your life and your finances.
Correct.
And I think most couples, from what I've seen, are within ages or within maybe 2 years, 3 years of each other. Occasionally I have one, and there's always anecdotes, but one of them that really stuck with me was a couple. He was 62 and she was 13 years younger. And they had a life insurance salesman trying to tell him, take your Social Security early, use that money to buy life insurance. Okay? And it was a dramatic difference. And so we talked him off of that ledge. And the reason why was for the survivor benefit. Like you just said, women outlive the men by typically 5 to 8 years is what we consider. So she had a potential of outliving him 20 years. Well, the gentleman just passed at the age of 70. And he waited until 70 to take his Social Security.
To protect her.
And so her amount is hugely impacted by what she would have by waiting like that. And so that's really the planning where it comes in. It's not just, okay, run a chart, look at it, and take the money.
No, it's not one size fits all for sure. And I will tell you, though, I don't normally recommend, like, people that are waiting to 70. I just met a client. They're both waiting till 70, right? And he knows that his wife shouldn't, but she doesn't come in. Right? And she won't listen to him or me. And it is what it is, right? But they're both waiting till 70. It's hard for me to make sense of that. You see, normally our Social Securities between spouses are not the same. One's higher and one's lower. Well, if one is lower and we're already at Social Security age and one is significantly lower, there's no way that's going to get to the higher one. So if somebody's going to take it early in my opinion, it should always be the lower one, because they're only paying us till we die.
Right.
And in all scenarios, once we live past our full retirement age, 66 to 67, and one spouse dies, the survivor gets the higher of the two. The low one's always going to drop off. So if you're wondering which one should take it early, the lower one always takes it early.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
So.
Well, I mean, waiting, I mean, you mentioned it earlier, not to stay in the weeds here, but just the idea of waiting until 70, if you're doing that for an overall planning reason,
Correct.
so that now you can do Roth conversions and get all that Roth money, that IRA money over to Roth. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Now that, and again, that's what you benefit from working with a financial planner. Somebody's looking at the.
But and another one would be like, hey, there's lots of second and third marriages now. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, yeah.
And maybe I have a pension, but when I took my pension, I wasn't married to my spouse who I'm with
Right.
now, so they're not going to get it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. So some of the strategy may be, well, the sooner you can identify that there's a shortcoming when the breadwinner dies. One way to fix that, we may not like it, would be for that person to wait to take Social Security to 70, just like you said, to protect that spouse, because the pension's not going to go to them.
Right.
You got to think about that.